Today's video is just because. When was the last time you went out and did something just because? Because it's a Wednesday. Well, today's Friday, but because it's a Wednesday. Because you got an early finish, which I have. Because it's there. Because it's ages since you did it. Because no reason whatsoever. Well, that's today. We're going up there. We're going to have a natter. And this has all been spurred on by a lady that I had a chat with today. And it got me thinking. During my normal day job, I got chatting to a lady on site as I was waiting for access. And she mentioned, we were talking about photography, or I mentioned I like photography. And it was one of those, oh, I'd quite like to get into that. And she said, I've got my eye on a camera, I'd love to start. I said, oh yeah, what camera are you looking at, kind of thing, genuinely kind of interested. And it was always that one on TikTok that all the influencers have. So straight away, the alarm bells start ringing and the conversation starts. And I said to her, that's it now, that's can of worms you just opened there. And I said, why in particular this camera from TikTok? She went, well, it must be really good. That's the ones they all shoot. And I'm like, and I think it's one of the Canons. Nothing wrong with Canon at all. But then we went in the conversation. I was like, you need the camera for your needs. And this lady said, I want to do portraits, what I can gather kind of kids and family, which is fine, cool. But she also said, I like theatre. And she's involved with a local dramatics group. And she wants to shoot kind of behind the scenes of productions for their journal. Great. You don't want the Canon? She said, why? I said, low light. And next came the correct question. What do you mean low light? And that's what got me thinking about this today. Now, the side I haven't considered to this, of this conversation that was about to start with this lady, made me think about this channel. The way we talk about things, you just assume other people are kind of on the same wavelengths, which if you're this far in a day, say you are as well. But, some people don't understand what we mean by full frame, micro four thirds, crop sensor, medium format. I want to just quickly run through them. Mainly because I told this lady I was going to do this video and she should watch it. So first off, let's get this one out of the way, because this is my least favourite genre. Nothing wrong with it. There's some awesome people at it. I don't like it. Mobile phone photography. If anybody out there is going to say you don't need a camera anymore because you've got a mobile phone, it's the same thing. To me, that's the equivalent of saying you don't need a driver's license anymore because you can ride a skateboard. It's the same thing. It isn't. It's perfectly good. Has a purpose all of its own. Not knocking it whatsoever. And some video features and stabilisation in phones today, phenomenal. Why do I say mobile phones aren't proper cameras? They are. That's not fair. Mobile phones, when they came out, people saying, oh, they're going to kill the camera. They're not. They were going to kill the tiny sensor compact cameras. And that's what they did, effectively, because they're good for that. But tiny sensor compact cameras, to me, are the same as mobile phones. They're a method for capturing a snapshot. No real artistic control. It's just for that moment in time. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, if you think they're exactly the same as cameras, please take your mobile phone out, do some wildlife photography, blow it up, zoom in and print it out, and let me know how that looks. And that's because of the size of your sensor. Nothing wrong with it. If that's what you're into, I'm not. Just my opinion. Moving on. So next on the list of tiddly sensors, I'm going to skip all 1 inches, CCD, stuff like that, and 1/164th and all. That malarkey, I'm not going to go into those numbers. The next notable camera you should be considering, micro four thirds. These are a sensor, a bit smaller than a crop sensor. Output, hard to tell the difference these days. The new stack sensors on the Olympic stuff, killer. That new Panasonic 25 megapixel sensor for micro four thirds, belter. I use them a lot. And this is going to roll into what we're going to talk about later because they suit my case and need. Before we approach the other sensor sizes, I think it's first, probably best, to mention full frame. That is the modern day equivalent of a 35mm frame on an analog camera. Ideally, in theory, same field of view, same magnification. An 85mm lens on a 35mm camera will be the equivalent of an 85mm lens on a full frame camera. So if you can wrap your head around that, we're good, we can move on. The full frame is often considered today as the kind of the best all-round advantage. With good reason, it probably is, in fairness. You're going to get weirdos like me that say, oh, I love Micro Four Thirds and here's why. But I also shoot medium format, which is bigger than full frame. They all have a purpose, we'll come into it. But with full frame, if you look at a full frame sensor, there's a few things you can be guaranteed of. Lovely controllable depth of field. By that I mean how much of your image is pin sharp and how much of the background is in blur. You've seen these beautiful magazine shots where the models look just like me. Crisp and in focus, but the background's all blurry. Depth of field. It's got excellent light gathering capabilities. So if you want to be into theatre, shooting backstage in low light, that's a great choice for light gathering. Wide variety of lenses and mounts, they're all there. And unfortunately, point 4, price. Although not so much today. Again, we'll come back to that in a minute. Your next sensor size down in the list is APS-C, or crop sensor. These sensors are a bit smaller than your full frame. They cut down, hence the term crop. What happens when you crop down a sensor and make it smaller? You get what's called a crop factor. What that means is the image on your sensor will be magnified in comparison to full frame, and your depth of field will change. And the general rule of thumb is, the smaller your sensor gets, the more magnification you'll get, and your depth of field will get bigger. So you'll have more in focus. That blur's harder to achieve, in theory. It's doable on all systems. But crop, unfortunately, with the manufacturers at the minute, seems to be dying a death. Sony's done a great job in their marketing convincing everybody that it's full frame or nothing, which I think is wrong. Some of my favourite photographs I've taken have been on crop or Micro Four Thirds, but that's what the market wants you to believe. Crop sensors are a very viable system, very affordable. There's loads of quality second-hand gear out there, all at very good prices. So it doesn't need to stop you taking pictures. And I know there's a little bit of wiggle room here and there. General rule of thumb, full frame is like a 1-to-1 magnification. What you see is what you get with the right lens on. When you go to a crop sensor, 1.5, 1.6 times magnification. So your 50mm lens will become a 75mm lens because it's 1.5 times. That might make sense once you get a lens on it. And when you come to Micro Four Thirds, which is the next size down, it's double. Now you might sit there and go, but the light, from what you've just said, the light gathering capabilities and the depth of field are going to be horrendous. Fair point, but no, also. Because the double magnification, awesome for getting wildlife. So if I strap a 300mm lens on, it's a 600. So all of a sudden you've got that extra reach. And at those distances, I'm not going to go into how you create depth of field, that's another video all of its own, that. But at those distances, it's going to blur really easy. So that little bit extra depth of field gives you a much better chance of getting that bird in flight, in focus. Is it as good in low light as full frame? No. And sharpness and resolution, that's a different discussion altogether. I would much rather have low resolution and sharper glass than a 100 megapixel camera with, you know, an average lens any day of the week. So coming back to this conversation with this lady I had at work, I listened to what she was saying. She wants to do theatre and portrait stuff. And don't light me up in the comments. I know everyone's got a different opinion. I suggested, being the hypocrite that I am, a Sony A7 III. For the simple reason being, the autofocus is phenomenal. You know, not as great as the market leaders, but bang for your buck today, really damn good. Picture quality, beautiful. It will deliver. I did say to her, get your hands on it though, have a play, make sure you're happy. You can pick up third-party lenses, keep the whole setup cheap, and that camera will deliver. I would have loved to have said an Olympus, you know, being loyal and whatnot, but honestly, shooting in lots and lots of low light, trying to get pictures of your kids on stage, the Sony will do better, or a Canon or a Nikon. the long-winded point of a very simple subject, I'm doing a very bad job of verbalising. If you're just getting into photography, just write down what you want to show. For me, it was always portraits and landscapes. And the reason I say that is because initially the buzz you're going to get nailing those shots are going to propel you through your photographic journey. Saying that, I still shoot landscapes. I very rarely shoot portraits. I did a cracker last week, which I'll put in here, that was shot in New Mills. Lovely guy called Peter. Looks terrifying. Sweetheart of a guy. Really nice fella. He was kind enough to give me 5 minutes of his time, and we got some nice portraits. Hope you're well, Peter, if you're watching. But write down what you want to shoot, and then you can start looking for the camera that suits that need. Landscapes, pretty much anything will do it. You know, obviously some are going to get better results than the other, but you can, if you've got the money, I applaud you. Well done, you. You've succeeded. You've won at life. Go and buy what you want. If, like me at the time, you're on a budget, very, very capable cameras are available at very good prices. It gets me onto the same rant again. Do you need the latest and greatest modern cameras? No. Don't get me wrong. Look at that. Don't get me wrong. If you pay your mortgage by taking photographs of fast-moving subjects, yes, you know, spend the money, get it. But ultimately, for the rest of us normal folks, you don't need to spend that money. You know, I've said it before, say it again. Did you ever look at the front of National Geographic? These pictures of blue whales or golden eagles that were taken on 6-megapixel cameras and go, ooh. You didn't, because they were awesome. Oh, yes, Yorkshire tea. I mean, like the lady I was speaking to today, I was saying to her, you know, you don't need to be going out and spending £5 to do this. If you put, say, £1,000 aside, I know it's a lot of money, it's a big ask, but if you're really serious about getting into it, £1,000 will get you a nice full-frame camera and a decent couple of lenses, you know, and my advice would be don't buy brand new. They're not necessary. People like Wex, you know, and Wilkinson's camera, one of my favourites, Harrison's over in Sheffield, they give, you know, a 12-month warranty on everything you buy. Superb. You know, what's to worry about? It's the same as manufacturers. CEX, where all smelly kids hang out in town and trade the games in. It's a 5-year warranty. It's not the cheapest, and I think you've got to make peace with the fact that that lens has probably been in a teenager's pants at some point. Ooh. And when I say you don't have to have the latest and greatest gear, I took quite a few pictures today coming up, which I'll share on the way through. And they were taken on that, which is my D810, which was released in July 2014. So that is, what, a 12-year-old camera? Go and have a look at those pictures. Tell me what you think's wrong with them and let me know in the comments below. No sarcasm or Mickey takers. In fact, don't let me know in the comments below. I can't take it. One point I am trying to get across is I'm not trying to preach. I'm not the be-all, end-all. I don't know everything. I'm not the best photographer. I'm not even one of the best photographers. I just enjoy what I do. But what I do have is over 20 years experience accrued. I said on the way up, I spent a lot of money in those years, money I couldn't really afford at the time either. I made a lot of mistakes. And if this little short video helps you start your photographic journey without making those mistakes, just one here, I'll take that as a win. There's other things we need to touch on, like computers and software, but that's probably for another video. There's another organ donor in the background. I don't know if you can hear them. Brought my kids up here when they were young, and they nicknamed it the Edge of the World. I'm sure you can see why. Paint me like one of your French ladies. Speaking of modern cameras, I don't mean to poo-poo on modern technology, not at all. For example, if you'd have told me even 10 years ago that there's going to be a camera and it flies and it's got Hasselblad technology on board and it takes pictures, I'd have been like, that's got to be 70 or 80 grand minimum. You know, but these drones, like 200-300 quid, they're achievable. I love that. I absolutely love that. That makes the impossible accessible for everyone. That's the kind of thing I'm on board with. Take lid off. Let that cool down. It's like supping lava, that. Case in point, I still shoot a D810. 36 megapixels resolution, full frame, sensor for low light. The dynamic range of this, which is everything it reads from pure black to pure white, that detail in between, it's off the scale, it's phenomenal. It's another piece of marketing that annoys me. Dynamic range, 17 stops. Human eye at instantaneous glance, I think, is good for 13.5. So, oh yeah, I can see the 17. Stop it, it's not necessary. So, ramble over. Best tool for your needs. Ignore everything else. Weigh it up. And if you can, get your hands on it and give it a go. That's what I recommend. And have fun. That's the most important part. Needs to be some gratuitous panorama action, I think. I'm not a big pano guy. I love 16:9, but I'm not a big pano guy, but I feel this warrants one. What a spot. There's an old war memorial up there from World War I and World War II. And it's always very sobering when you see it. I used to say to the kids, look around, see how many houses you can see, how many names are on here. Everybody lost someone. So I hope you enjoyed today's little wander out up to the edge of the world. I hope I didn't confuse the issue of sensor sizes for the beginners too much. But by the by, thank you ever so much for coming out for us to the edge of the world out here, which I absolutely love. Got to share it with you. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you ever so much for coming back, reaching out, dropping me the messages. Means the world. Thanks ever so much, folks. See you on the next one.